Okay, so tell us the story about Chad climbing on the roof on the freeway.
I don't really know. I don't know how that really. I've heard it, but I don't really know to tell this story.
Oh. Well, what were some of the other things he did?
Chad?
That you can remember. Yeah, or Heath.
Oh. Well, Heath would crawl out the window when he wasn't supposed to go out. And my seat's getting hot. Is yours?
Yeah. You know this is on video recording.
Well, Heath then decided, even though he was just not even 16, I don't think, but decided he'd just leave home and go to Hawaii. So, I don't know where he got the money, but he got money and he bought a ticket and hopped on a plane to Hawaii.
You serious?
And so we called the police on him. And so they said, oh, okay. Got a picture of him, and we said, yep. So when they landed in Hawaii, a policeman came aboard the plane. He wouldn't let any passengers off. He says, everybody sit down. We're looking for someone. You can't disembark the plane until we find him. And it was Heath. And they took him off to a detention center. And he stayed there till they got him a plane ticket back home, and he had to come home.
A waste of money. That's funny. So...
And I think they used to take Papa's, the boys, I know Jared and Seth did, maybe Chad and your dad too, I don't know, but they used to take Papa's old brown pickup truck and race it out in the desert and everything with it.
Funny. What about Papa's yellow jogging suit?
Oh, Papa's infamous jogging suit. He had this Hummer yellow jogging suit. And I think it was yellow because he was a big man and that's the only color we could find in his size. And he really never wore it except one time when he went over to Uncle Wayne's house and he jumped on the trampoline in it. And then the boys used to like to put it on and then they'd stuff pillows all in it.
I saw Todd and someone else in that. It was funny.
Yeah. So that was funny.
So what about your parents' cocktail parties?
Oh dear. I was like a maid. I was the maid. Well, I still have my little apron that I had to wear. It was all fancy. And then I was the entertainment. I had to play the piano for everybody. And I had to do the dishes. And sometimes I even mixed the drinks. And here I was only like 7 years old. And then when I was 12 years old, I had my own piano recital. I was the only one in it. Played all these fancy songs, all by myself.
That's why you're such a good piano player.
Oh, yeah. But, I don't know how to do timing, the quarter notes and all that. I don't really know that very good because my aunt gave me piano lessons. And I didn't want to play the piano, but my parents made me play the piano, so I didn't pay too much attention when she was teaching me. My adoptive parents. And so instead of learning what she was teaching me, I would just say to her, well, play it for me, so I want to hear what it sounds like. So she would play it. Well, then I knew the timing. But not because I knew what the notes looked like, but because she played it. You see what I mean? I mean, if she held up a quarter note or a whole note, I couldn't tell you it was a quarter note or a whole note. But if she played it, I knew what the timing was.
Oh, I see. Oh.
So it took me many long years of trying to learn the timing on by myself.
What?
I'll tell you the story about when they picked me up from the orphanage when I was 4.5. First of all, they came to look at me like they were buying a dress or something. They came to look at me at the orphanage. And then they said they'd be back for me to take me home. And I stood at the top of the stairs and I cried and I cried. I said, you want me back, you want me back, I know you want me back. But they came back. And then on the way, because it was quite a ways from where we lived, where the orphanage was, and so they planned to go to this park and would have sandwiches. My mother had packed a lunch, and she packed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for me to eat and summer sausage sandwiches for Papa, my dad, to eat.
Wait,
my dad, my adoptive dad.
Oh, okay.
And I don't like peanut butter to this day. And so I wouldn't eat the peanut butter sandwiches she made. I said, no, I don't like peanut butter. So I wouldn't eat the peanut butter, but I loved his summer sausage sandwiches. So my dad had to eat the peanut butter and I got the summer sausage. And then my dad was...
Wait, so that's the only picnic you really went on?
Well, yeah, I guess maybe they did take me on one picnic the first day they got me. And then my dad was always president of everything. He was the exalted ruler of the Elks Club. He was the Lions Club president. He was the Shriners potentate. You know, he's always the president of some company, of some club. And when he was the potentate of the shrine, the Shriners needed another camel for their parade. And so my dad asked me if I wanted a camel. And so he told me this camel was mine, but it was going to stay with the Shriners. And the camel's name was Salem.
So you had it.
So it really wasn't my camel, but he made me think it was my camel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, my seat is burning.
Well, turn it down. Push it one more time and it'll go down to low. There you go.
Oh, okay. I need to think of more questions. Let's see. Oh, yes. Tell me how you thought Papa was.
How what?
Exactly. Tell every detail on how you met him.
Papa?
Yes.
Well,
everything till he called you at 10:30.
He tried to make it. See, the doctor I worked for was Mormon, and so right away they wanted to know if I wanted to know more about the church. So I could tell that they were wonderful people and better than any people I'd ever met. So I thought, hey, I want to be like that. So I said, yeah, I want to learn more. So they got a hold of the missionaries, and then Papa was one of the missionaries, and he kept calling me to try to make an appointment. Well, I always had some excuse or something, I don't know, would come up. But finally they made this appointment, and I kept it. And I had a roommate at the time, but she didn't want to hear the first lesson, so she went back in the bedroom. But when I opened the door, there was a shorter stocky missionary, and then there was a real tall missionary. Well, I've never liked real tall people, men. And so I looked right away at the shorter, stocky one, which was Papa. And he had a short white sleeve shirt on. And the first thing I noticed were those beautiful blue eyes, the Hassell blue eyes. And then I noticed his strong arms, and I said, oh boy, that missionary could take care of me. So, that was it. Then they gave me the lesson. And then I couldn't understand Papa, because he was from New Mexico, and sometimes he doesn't talk. For like farm, out on the farm, he will say form. And for a towel, you know what? Can you hand me a towel?
Yeah.
He will say tile. Hand me a tile. You know? And so I couldn't understand what he was saying one time in one of the lessons. And so I said, can I ask you a question? And he thought I was going to ask something real spiritual. And I says, why do you talk so funny? Because I couldn't understand half of what he was saying.
That's funny.
And then that was when I smoked. And when they gave me the lesson on the word of wisdom, then he asked to take all of my cigarettes home with him. And so I let him. And so I let him if he would promise me that when I called him, oh, I don't want to go in there. When I called him, he would bring them back to me. Well, you know how silly that is. There was no way he was going to bring them back to me. Anyway, so right away in about 2 hours I called him. I said, you bring those cigarettes back. And he of course talked me out of it. And I called him, I think, a couple of times that night, asking him, begging for him to return my cigarettes. And then I drank coffee too. And at my work, I always made the coffee at work, you know, a whole pot of coffee every morning when I went into work. And after I quit drinking coffee, after I joined the church, I quit drinking coffee. And guess how much coffee was left in the pot? I still made the coffee for everybody, but guess how much was left? Almost all of it. Guess who was drinking all the coffee?
Oh.
Isn't that silly? That was me. I was drinking all that coffee. So then I never drank again, and I never smoked again, and I never drank any liquor again, and I did it all in one time.
Yay, Papa.
So that's my life history. Mwah! And goodbye to you, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.